Warning. Critique Revolve contains adult language and discussions. If you're easily offended, do not continue to listen.
Hey there, boys and girls, cats and kittens. It's Brian and Thomas Cowley.
Yay. Hello, everyone.
I totally made it sound like my last name's Cowley.
Yeah, a little bit.
I can only be so lucky. But anyway, guys, this is Critique Revolve here on Rain Man Digital. We're recording at the studio, actually, today, because it looks like not only is my life a mess, but my computer has taken a shit as well. So for those of you that
encapsulates everything about you right now.
Right. So for those of you that listen to Rain Man, the Rain Man Show, and if you don't listen to the Rain Man Show, you should. I want to first and foremost apologize for my public behavior, and secondly, I want to thank Michael for posting my mugshot on a public forum for everyone to see. It was a good story that
you told us.
Well, I mean, it's a true story. Like, that's the worst part. Like, I mean, shit, it's not even one of my bullshit stories. It's like a straight up everything I said was true. If you guys haven't heard it yet, you definitely need to check out the Rain Man Show from this last today? Last Thursday. Is that the 16th?
Yes.
Yeah, the 16th. So anyway, this week on Critique Revolve, Thomas and I went and saw a movie that we had probably the lowest expectations of any movie we have ever gone into.
Yeah,
I mean, even the host, we had higher expectations.
No. You had, those of you who were Player Slate fans back in the day, you had higher expectations for some unfounded reason.
Okay, that's fair, but
delusional reason.
But remember, my higher expectations did rub off on you just a little bit.
Yeah, because I was still young and innocent, and I believed the lies that the man told me, so I got in the van.
This was before Thomas, of course, was part of Rain Man, or or
the Supernatural show, even,
or the Supernatural show. This was when Thomas was still a fresh-faced 21-year-old or 22. I don't know how old you were. A lot fucking younger than me. Okay, and that was actually the first show we did. It was fantastic.
It wasn't the first show we did.
What was the first one?
It was like the third show we did. The first one was Jack the Giant Slayer.
Oh, God, that movie was so bad. That's right. We had like a horrible string there.
You took me to like 4 terrible movies in a row. It was like the worst month of my life.
But anyway, guys, so this week we are actually reviewing the newest, almost found footage-esque,
the newest
horror film.
Low-budget horror film.
Yeah, this one is called Unfriended, originally titled Cybernatural.
And it's a very good thing they changed that name.
Very much so, very much so. It was
Cybernatural just sounds like
Supernatural.
It's not only that, but
or cyber
sex. Yeah, all I think of is some weird fiction about some,
you think
human-robot relations.
No. See, when I think Cybernatural, you know what I think of?
What?
I think of what the Supernatural guys do when they're like not on set together and they're like sitting in their hotel room separately and just like on Skype playing with themselves so the other person can see it.
Dude.
I mean, I have to dig at your show.
Is that your little dream there?
Well, I'm pretty sure that's pretty much every shipped fiction that's out there on the internet, isn't it?
There's a lot. I haven't read them, but I've heard a lot.
You have. I guess if Denton was here, he's read them.
He's the expert.
Yeah, he's definitely written all of them. Anyway, so we went and saw Unfriended. It was written by Nelson Greaves and directed by, I am going to just butcher this guy's name. He's Russian, and he goes by Levan Gabriadze.
I think so, Gabriadze.
Oh, nice. You actually rolled your R and shit in there, dude.
I know. Look at me, all cultured and shit.
Oh, man, that's fucking crazy. Fucking crazy. Anyway, it stars Heather Sossaman, Matthew Bower, Courtney Halverson, Shelley Hennig, Moses Jacob Storm, Will Peltz, Renee Olstead, and Jacob Wysocki. Now, a couple of those names, some of you may know if you watch soap operas, but I don't think that's really our demographic.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, but they're on, I think, either All My Children or Days of Our Lives or As the World Turns or something else that involves eating bonbons and sitting in a robe while folding laundry.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway, so a couple of them are on that. And then, of course, Shelley Hennig is in Teen Wolf on MTV. And interesting to note, this movie originally was not going to have a theatrical release. It was going to be a made-for-TV movie for MTV. And it was kind of in a response to, well, let's go through the I guess I should probably say what the movie's about.
A quick little synopsis. Don't divulge too much.
Well, a group of online chat room friends find themselves haunted by a mysterious supernatural force using the account of their dead friend.
You almost sound like that Unsolved Mysteries guy. Do you remember that show?
Dude, that theme song for Unsolved Mysteries used to give me fucking nightmares.
Dude, it was
creepy. And that dude was creepy.
He's just coming out of the smoke.
Right.
Like some, suited man from a Lovecraftian horror.
He's like, it started as a normal Tuesday.
Oh, God. What happened that Tuesday?
Well, and that's kind of what this movie's like. What happened that Tuesday? But no, so it started out as a made-for-TV movie for MTV, which is why it has such a short runtime. The movie does run at 82 minutes, and I'm assuming that includes the credits and everything else, because we actually got out of the theater super early from this one. And it had a late start as well. So... yeah, it's a really short flick, but it's so like I said, it runs 82 minutes. Started out as a TV movie for MTV. They went through and they did the what is it, the screeners or whatever, like what's the word I'm looking for, where you have like people come in and like test it, test audiences,
focus testing.
Thank you, focus. That was the word I was looking for. I appreciate it, Thomas. You're
welcome. That's what I'm here for, man.
You're a fucking peach. But so they did the focus testing, and the results were so positive from the focus testing that they decided to go with Universal Pictures and do a theatrical release.
Which I never would have thought, based on the trailer, that this would have warranted such a reaction from a focus group.
I think quickly here we should probably talk about that a little bit. I mean, Thomas and I talked about this movie. We actually got this screening at the last second.
Yeah,
and it was one of those where I'll be honest, I had never even seen the trailer. I had no idea what the movie was about, and I was like, yeah, I'll go. I don't care, whatever. Free movie, sweet. And so, of course, then I have to find somebody to go with me. And I'm like, hey, Thomas, why don't you come with me to this movie? And he was like, all right, what's it about? I'm like, I don't know. And
I like how you just you're like, hey, I got this bottom of the barrel movie. You want to see it?
Right, exactly. So we're sitting there, and we both then watch the trailer. And so we meet before the movie, and we're having dinner. And we're talking about just what a shit show this is going to be.
We're not jaded at all.
No, not at all. We don't hate people or movies or anything. But, we're sitting there, we're like, God, it was going to be an MTV movie. Although, I think MTV actually has a pretty decent track record when it comes to their movies.
They get a lot of crap for not being about music television at all anymore, and for the reality TV shows. But they have done some actual, written television that I've enjoyed. It was on for, all of 7 episodes. Do you remember that, Reno 911 style show where they would hunt vampires and werewolves and monsters were real and cops just dealt with it on a regular. That was just a thing.
Yes. I remember that. Well,
that was surprisingly well done.
Well, and honestly, I mean, Teen Wolf gets pretty decent reviews as well. I mean, granted, it is a huge departure from the Teen Wolf movie series with Michael J. Fox and
that's probably for the best.
Jason Bateman. Oh, fuck you, dude. Teen Wolf is fantastic. I can mash potato. Can you? But
good Lord.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love those movies, but I was also 9 the first time I saw it, so I thought it was fantastic.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't seen it since then. I'm sure it doesn't hold up for shit, and I'm sure that the special effects are fucking awful. But this is more, the Teen Wolf on MTV is more like the Twilight Wolves,
right?
And it definitely has that feel to it, and that was exactly what I was expecting out of this. And the movie kind of starts out slowly, I guess is the best way to put it.
One thing that and this is only movie nerds will care about. Do you remember any opening credits?
No.
It pulls a Star Wars, and I'm wondering. I doubt it, but I'm wondering if they'll change that for theatrical release.
I mean, it comes out. Well, it's already out now.
It'll be out by the time
this airs. But I don't know, man, because I mean,
he got slapped with a fine and all that for not having the actors' names beforehand.
Yeah, but
that's
I mean,
the whole thing.
Blair Witch did the same thing.
Yeah, so maybe it's something.
And there were no fines for Blair Witch. I think it depends.
It might.
And I mean, obviously, these are all SAG actors without a question, and I don't know if the Blair Witch people were SAG actors, and that could be why there wasn't.
Could be. Who knows?
Fines. I don't know. That's actually a really good one, dude. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. There weren't any credits at the beginning of the movie.
It just kind of starts.
It does. And it actually starts kind of strangely. I like the way it starts. I don't want to ruin anything for anybody with this movie, and mainly because, like I said, Thomas and I, going back to our Play It or Slay It days, had we done a first half, we would have slayed the shit out of this movie, is what we would have said. I mean, I don't think there's any question there that that's what we would have done with this movie.
No.
Looking at it, that the one cast member that you have, well, there's 2 cast members that are recognizable, Shelley Hennig, who's in Teen Wolf, like I said, and then Jacob Wysocki, who I've seen Pitch Perfect probably 750 times at this point. because
I don't want to know why.
Because Dakota loves the fucking movie. Like, that is what it is. And Anna Kendrick. I mean, that pretty much speaks for itself. But Jacob Wysocki is the fat kid who is like the helper of the nerdy kid that like starts off all of the auditions and stuff. And so I recognize him as well. And in this one, he plays a character named Ken. And, going into the movie, like I said, we had very, very, very low expectations, probably the lowest expectations in the history of mankind. And, the movie starts out kind of slow. The pacing there is a little slow, but it actually works for this movie once you see it as a whole. I think had it been a made-for-TV movie with commercial cuts,
I don't know if that would have worked.
It would have taken a lot away from it. Now, granted, it's also rated R, so they obviously changed it from the original cut because MTV doesn't put out R-rated material. That's not a thing that they do. They're not HBO. They're not Showtime. They're not Skinamax. Like, MTV is still basic cable. And so it's not something that you would have seen. The gore that's in this movie, because it is a horror movie. It's more a suspense.
It's more of a thriller.
It really is. It is. It's more of a thriller, but then there is like these really like flashes of brilliant gore.
Truly messed up at times.
The gore was all practical effects, which of course is what I love. Yeah, I love practical effects.
It makes it look more real.
It does, and that was
does when it comes to horror.
The whole premise behind the movie is that these children, I mean, they're teenagers. They're
high schoolers.
They're getting ready for prom. Like, they all meet together on this Skype call one night, and it just happens to be the anniversary of something, and and so like weird shit starts to happen. And as you're watching the movie, you see all of your different like stereotypes for these kids. You see it. You've got the virgin girl. You've got the slutty girl. You've got the virgin girl's boyfriend. Yeah, and you've got the jock guy. Then you've got
nerd,
the fat tech kid who's also the nerd, and then you have the uber bitch. Right? I mean, that's just that you have literally every single trope you can possibly imagine. But as the movie plays on, they play with the tropes a lot, and you see different parts of each one of these characters, even though you're looking at the exact same shot the entire time. The movie was all done in one take.
Which is really impressive
when
you sit down and think about it.
I mean, especially with such young actors and actresses to be able to do, even if it is a 70-minute movie, they still got it all done in, one take. And that's freaking crazy. I mean, it was a series of long takes. The cast acted out the entire film in its entirety all at one time, and then the final cut is just one of those long takes. And now you can tell that there were some things that were changed from the long takes, like the death scenes.
Right.
The death scenes were added in, and you can actually see where that stuff was. But using the Skype interface makes it...
It sells it.
It does. It really sells it. It makes it much more believable, and it was incredibly interesting.
And that's the thing is that I was surprised by, throughout history... We've adapted how we make movies and TV shows and stuff. And recently, text messaging has really gone from, I got a text, said actor A, to, visual displays like Sherlock and House of Cards do a great job with that.
Right.
But none had really done the internet, because how do you visualize the internet?
Right. Like
I think this circumnavigated that with like an Occam's razor approach of that. You just don't. You show the internet.
Right. I mean, the whole thing is this chick's laptop screen.
Exactly. It's not even her perspective. It's not just her face.
Exactly.
It's her laptop, which has all the different cameras from Skype. It has all the tabs and windows. Right. Spotify's running in the background.
You see the mouse moving around. You see her clicking on things.
All that.
You hear the keys clicking.
It's as if you were just staring at her screen. And the Skype interface sells that, because anyone who's been on Skype has dealt with the lag and, the picture's frozen. Let's call back. A lot of the stuff, which they play into the horror thriller elements very well.
Right, and actually they mimicked the Skype interface very well, because it's actually they set up their own in-house internet for the whole thing, and the entire movie is shot from that angle and that one thing. But all of the actors were in the same house while they were shooting the movie, just all in different rooms, which, I'm sorry, that's genius. Like, that's ridiculously cool that they did that. I mean, I know you can do that a lot of times with different sets and stuff like that, but the fact that they acted it all out in one long scene, that they're all in the same house, and so they can hear each other's reactions to things that are going on, but then they're also reacting with the camera that's in front of them, the webcam that's in front of them. And I was like, this is one of the coolest fucking things I've ever seen.
Right.
The movie plays up the whole suspense part, when it leads up to points of, I guess, conflict a little bit.
Well, the trailer reveals what the core problem is.
I see. I didn't watch the trailer.
We can talk about that. The friends are all talking and hanging out on the anniversary of the suicide of another schoolmate who was bullied, and a bunch of stuff stems from that. And then in the trailer, you find out that it looks like she's haunting them through this Skype call, and they're essentially have to do what she says, or the worst shall happen.
Right.
Right. And it's a dark concept. I mean, nobody likes talking about teen suicide or suicide in general.
Well, no, I think the movie, they did not treat online bullying or suicide with kid gloves.
No,
it was very much, this is what happened.
Right.
Fuck.
And that was one of the things that I was most surprised by, was that it didn't feel like it was written by some 30, 40-year-old or older who doesn't really know A, the internet, B, teens, or C, how certain aspects work when it comes to online bullying and Skype even, and chat rooms and stuff like that, which right there, that phrase chat rooms is a little dated. But
are those still things? I mean, do those still exist? I mean, now it's all forums.
It's all forums and stuff now.
Right.
But it all feels very real. It doesn't feel like, oh, nobody would write that line. Like, check the Google. Like, it's nothing like that. It's all very, that's how I would react. That's how my friends have done Skype conversations. Right. It's very believable.
One of the super interesting things about it was that they actually made script changes on the fly for the movie, and then just had the actors and actresses, improvise and react naturally to what was going on.
Right.
And interesting to note, too, we talked about it being all one long take. Shelley Hennig, the girl from Teen Wolf, it was actually her idea to just shoot the whole fucking movie because she got irritated with the 10-minute long takes they were doing.
Right.
So she was like, well, let's just shoot the whole thing instead of doing, 6 or 7 10-minute long takes.
Yeah.
Let's fuck it. Just roll it all
stay
together.
in the mood.
Right, exactly.
Go with it.
Let's just keep it going. And so Nelson Greaves, the guy that wrote this, you talked about, how young it feels.
Accurate.
Well, if you look at the guy's picture, he looks kind of like a cross between Beavis and Butthead. And it's actually kind of weird because I'm looking at like his credits, and he's got like fuck all on his credits, dude. Like he's got
not much.
Well, he wrote 2 episodes of Sleepy Hollow. He did the teleplay for one, and he actually wrote 1 episode. And then he had a short called My Bloody Madeline, The Making of Swan's Blood, back in 2009. And then he did some stunts on Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and was also the assistant to Mr. Bekmambetov on the same movie.
Right.
And then he got some special thanks for a couple shorts in 2012.
So he hasn't done a whole lot.
He hasn't done anything. And then you look at the director of this one, the Russian guy. He did Yolki 2 and Yolki 3, assuming are Russian.
Return of the Yolk.
I guess, right? Return of the Yolkai.
I don't know what that
means. And then a movie called Lucky Trouble, have you ever heard of a movie called Lucky?
Never heard of that.
The original title was Vakratasi.
Yeah, so it might be a foreign film.
Yeah, but it actually had Mila Jovovich in it.
So it might be a foreign film.
Yeah, exactly. So it's still probably a foreign film. So I mean, these are literally like just untested guys. You've got this director who's probably speaks really horrible English. I mean, he's Russian, born in 1969.
You don't know that.
He's from the USSR, dude. And then you've got this Nelson Greaves guy as the writer.
They're both very green.
The producer, and he was the producer. I mean, that's fantastic. Like, I'm not going to lie, I love it.
But I think that says a lot about, and maybe I'm being too optimistic, but which is weird for me, the passion they had for this project, because it doesn't feel like a shoehorned, let's make another crap teen horror movie. They don't even, a little bit of spoiler territory I think we're going to get into now, but they don't fall into the traditional tropes of, this person dies first, then this happens. That most horror movies, follow line by line like a graph. I really liked that about this one because we had a couple guesses as to who would die in what order.
And we were
right in the beginning.
At the beginning,
and then we were wrong at the end.
We were very wrong at the end. And this is one of those movies, guys, where if you go into it, I mean, we went into it with a pretty negative vibe.
We did.
We absolutely did. And the movie, it tricked us.
It'll surprise you.
It did. It tricked us into liking it. And I hate that. I'm not going to lie. We both, we walked out of this movie going, we weren't supposed to like that.
Yeah.
Why did we? No. No, that's not something that we're supposed to like. It's just not. And it's one of those where it's like, it was good.
It was well written. The characters, although they start out, because you said this earlier, Brian, they start out as kind of like stereotypes, but
yeah.
As the story goes on, it's more the thriller than the horror. It's a thriller movie with horror level implications.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's actually a really good way to describe it. It's a supernatural thriller with horror movie results. And as it goes on, you find out it's more like adult Clue, and then there were none, right?
Because everyone has these secrets, everyone's done something horrible, and the second it's revealed is when it gets really interesting.
Well, and I think what we said last night was kind of like one of those dinner parties, the whodunit mystery dinner parties.
The Agatha Christie, and then there were none.
Yeah.
You start out with this little group, and you think you know everyone, and as the story goes on, you realize you were completely wrong.
Right. Well, and I mean that was one of the things that I think you and I, even sitting down when they first brought up all of the characters, it was like, okay, this one, this guy, boom, 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 and we nailed it right on the head. Exactly what they were supposed to be. They nailed the look of these people perfectly for
That's
what you would
also true
for what you would expect them to be. And then you start learning more about their lives through what's going on the Skype call, and you're like, oh shit! Like it goes to show just this is kind of eye opening a little bit for people that have lived in a cocoon their whole lives and don't understand it. Like, I mean, if you look at the kids that I'm gonna get a little bit political here, I guess, but
okay.
When you look at the cyberbullying stuff that goes on in high school, and having a daughter who's too young for this.
Right now, yeah.
But will go through this. I mean, it's a thing that's going to happen. The bullying, and you make one mistake and it gets posted on the internet
forever.
And it's horrible. Horrible things happen. I mean, that's just the way it is. But you don't really know what's going on with somebody's life. And then, this movie kind of opens your eyes a little bit when you look at these different kinds of people and be like, oh, so he has this going on and she has this going on and this and this. And there's so much more. And it's kind of a reminder that, it's nothing's as simple or as easy as it looks.
And I think that's why I ended up liking this more, because the writing is always the number one thing for me.
Absolutely.
And it felt like they didn't just go for low-hanging fruit of, this character is the slut, and then in every horror movie that they always die early. Like you said, it treats them as people. You're right. You can identify and feel like, I know this person from high school. I was this person.
Well, I mean, you and I talked about like who we would be in this movie, and then who our friends would be,
exactly,
and everything else. And it was actually really interesting to like kind of sit there and then dissect my own friend group and be like, okay, oh yeah, no, that's that guy. Oh,
and unlike
shit.
Other horror movies where it's like all you're doing is screaming at your TV, why the hell would you run upstairs, you stupid bitch? Like,
right.
This, you feel like you're one of the friends on the laptop.
Right, you do.
And you're realizing all these things about the people you hang out with, and
right.
and that's the thing, is like it's surprisingly immersive. Paranormal Activity I always thought was a joke.
Right.
Because I'm like, why would I? Okay, first of all, how much film are you going to record, dude? How many gigs of data?
Right.
How much am I waiting to see anything happen? And then what? Some demon is supposed to be who's a trickster at night, but is also like a vengeful murder fantasy later, just when the movie gets bored.
Right.
Blair Witch sold itself by its entire premise in 1999.
Blair Witch hit at the right moment.
It was the perfect thing at the perfect time, but this was actually like, what would you do if it felt like you'd be part of that group?
No, exactly.
It's not there's some crazy murderer who doesn't die from bullets.
Right.
It's, oh crap, what the hell's going on?
Right. Well, and not only that, but it's like as you're watching it, you're sitting there, and that was what I told I told Thomas yesterday, that I was like, I felt involved and enthralled by the movie, and I was like actually super interested in what was going to happen, and like I didn't give a shit about any of the characters. They were all pretty horrible fucking people. Like, that is what it is. I'm not gonna. I mean, you can figure they're
Spoiler alert.
They're all high school children. They're fucking horrible people. Spoilers. High school kids suck.
Well, how good are people anyway?
No, most people suck, and especially if you go down their deep, dirty, dark secrets. They're all horrible people. And so, you know, the movie starts out and you're kind of rooting for, you know, one or two characters, and then you find out some shit about them and you're not really rooting for them anymore.
And it keeps changing but your allegiances.
Yeah, exactly. Your allegiances and your loyalties, where they lie, change throughout the entire movie, which kept me involved, and it kept me interested, and it kept me kind of almost enraptured by what was going on the screen. Like you didn't want to look away. It's kind of like watching a train wreck. Like, no, I mean, you know, that saying is, you know, you can't turn away from a car accident, or, you know, you honestly, you almost feel, and I don't want to say voyeuristic, because that's such a dirty, it's got such dirty connotations.
The true definition, it is.
Yeah, it is.
But
I'm saying it has such dirty connotations at this point that you don't want to say that. But, you know, as you're watching the movie, you're literally involved in what's going on. Like, you're sitting there, you're like, oh, damn, you know, and like, you're just like, you almost can't believe what these people are capable of, but then you think about it and you're like, well, shit, I'm capable of that.
I could have done that.
I have done that. Yeah, you know? and so it's actually really, really cool. And the way that they kind of go about exposing everything in the movie, I thought was a very, very good
simple but clever.
Well, it was simple, it was clever, it was clear, and it was relatable, because it's something that pretty much everybody's done at some point in their life.
Some of them.
No. I mean, what they do to show it.
Right.
I don't want to give it away. I don't know. I mean,
no, don't.
Okay.
Again, it's you know, the simplest answer's often the right one. It worked out for this. How do we show the internet? Let's literally just show it. How do teenagers act? Well, they're known for X and Y.
Right. Well,
they chose, universally through the generations.
Right. And they chose all these young actors to give
amazing performances by them too.
Not only that, because you have to figure, if all you're doing is looking at Skype, that's literally like your upper chest to the top of your head,
all face, and
it's all face, all expressions and everything else, and
which every actor loves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille. Well, yeah, of course you are, because that's the entire fucking movie. But the actors that they chose were fucking fantastic at what they were doing in this, and to get those actors for this movie, when they did the casting, I don't know, some of you obviously that listen know what an audition process is and how that works, and when you read, and then you go and do chemistry tests and all of this other stuff. And when I say chemistry tests, I don't mean
you're not talking about a lab.
In a lab. I mean like chemistry with your fellow actors, and then you do table reads and you do all this. But for this movie, what they did was they actually had people conduct their auditions in front of a webcam with no one else in the room.
Right.
And then they had them, you know, just spitball things at them and how they would respond, and look at a computer screen and respond to it. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things where we all sit there and, you know, when you watch something on the internet, you make an expression. Either you smile,
you don't realize it,
or you frown, or whatever. And, you know, working, if any of you have ever worked in sales, you know that, you know, they say, we can hear you smiling on the phone. Ugh. But it's true. It's absolutely true. It's like, I mean, when we don't like a movie, you can tell by the tone of our voice and the way that we're sitting here and just like trudging through 40 minutes of, God, are we done yet? But then, you know, when we have a movie that we like, I'm very much more excitable than you are.
I'm not very excitable in the first place.
You're always pretty level, dude.
Yeah.
You just kind of sound like Ben, what's his name? Ben Stein. I mean... Not as bad as Ben Stein, but
Jesus.
But you laugh.
That's
Stein
good,
doesn't laugh. But no, I'm just saying, like, your voice almost always sounds the same. But, you know, in going to this movie, like I said, we had such low expectations, and it just blew them out of the water. It was fantastic. I don't think there's any other word for it. And it's one of those things where, like, the rewatchability factor on it isn't super high.
But at the same time, what horror movie really has a great amount of rewatchability? Yeah, the kills, but I mean, that's...
Tokyo Gore Police. I'm joking.
I was going to say, okay.
No, I'm kidding.
You know how it's going to happen. The jump scares are all gone. Right. So no one's really like, I want to sit down and watch Halloween for the fifth time.
This movie didn't rely on jump scares necessarily, I don't think. This wasn't a horror movie in the sense...
50-50.
No, there were a few jump scares, but there was also just as much comedy.
And that was surprising, too.
But it was real. Like, it was real reactions and, like, real stuff. Like I don't want to give anything away.
I'll just say this. The best part for me was, like you said, there are some jump scares. There are the traditional...
There's some real creepy shit.
But and that's the thing. There is not exactly psychological horror bits, but things that are creepy and mess with your head because you realize what you're seeing and it doesn't mesh with reality.
Right.
And that's all I'll say. Just
Well, and
if you guys see, and I think at this point we say we recommend you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first death,
yes.
tell me that doesn't creep you out on
the
a
first
fundamental
and
level.
the second death.
Both of them do.
Like the lead up to the first
The
and
lead
second
up.
deaths is what is some of the best shit I've seen in a really long time.
Smart. It's
it was
different.
It was so creepy.
And it's so simple.
It was. Well, and that's the thing. This was obviously done on a very low budget.
Right.
But it didn't even matter. It didn't even matter that it was done. All horror is done on a low budget. For the most part.
For the most part.
Unless it's like a fucking Aliens versus Predator movie out in space.
But at that point, you're in sci-fi. And
and that's a whole different story, But, most horror, especially for me, good horror, is done on a low budget. I saw My Bloody Valentine in 3D. Your boy can't act. That movie was awful.
Who?
It was one of the Supernatural guys.
Oh.
I don't remember. Not Jensen, but the other one.
Was it? I don't even remember that movie.
Yeah,
dude.
it was bad, dude. It was really bad. But anyway, it was a remake.
It was also like a decade ago.
Well, yeah, exactly. But no, I will say this, though, in that when it comes to horror movies anymore, all we're getting is remakes.
Right.
That's all we're getting. Remakes,
reboots,
remakes, retreads, the same storyline, plop in a couple different chicks, With this one, they give you something new, something fresh, and something that's definitely worth your time. However short that is for because most people don't want to go to the theater for an hour. You want to go for 2, and anymore you want to go for 3 Avengers, and and that's fine. I get that, but if you're looking for something where you just want to go see a good low budget, no name movie that will surprise you, I think this is definitely the one that you want to go check out.
Yeah.
All
right.
right.
Looking for a good scare, even. It has it at times.
You know what it is? It's not that it's there are a couple good scares, but it's more unsettling.
Exactly. I think that's a good way to say it.
Like you walk out of the theater just kind of like with the heebie-jeebies.
You're just like, God damn it.
You're like, oh God, that was so creepy. So creepy. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for us here on Critique Revolve on Rain Man Digital. Want to thank Thomas for coming with me to another movie.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This is like 2 in a very short period of time.
I know.
I'm so glad that I could get that hand job that you owed me.
Now it's weird.
Is it weird now?
I think it's weird now.
Is it weird? Is it any weirder than It's Tough Being a Mutant?
Watch Rain Man to get that, or listen to Rain Man to get that reference.
Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. We love you.
The Corova Milk Bar sold Milk Plus Velicet, or Centamesque, or Drencrum, which is what we were drinking. This would sharpen you up and make you ready for a bit of the old ultra-violence.